They weren't in my situation.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta watch out. Maybe.
Right, so the guy's doing a really good job.
And I am the way.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for clicking on our faces. We are here tonight, back again this month to discuss this month's book. We decided to continue with the series because we had so much fun reading Great and Terrible Beauty. We are now on book 2 of that series by the name of Rebel Angels. Now, before we get into our non-spoiler thoughts, because again, we're going to do non-spoilers, give our rating, and then get into the spoiler talk. Let's get into the summary here. So Rebel Angels is the second book in a fantasy trilogy by Libba Bray. It is the sequel to A Great and Terrible Beauty and continues the story of Gemma Doyle, a girl in the late 19th century with the power of second sight. The novel follows Gemma and her friends Felicity and Anne during their winter break from school. Rebel Angels comments on the life of women in the 19th century, fantasy, and mythology. Now, ladies, I believe Stephanie O will be going first with her non-spoilery thoughts. So let's get into it. Go right ahead, ma'am.
So I think that this book again was very well written. I think they did a great job of balancing detail and adventure. I think it was a very smooth transition from the first book. I don't know if I could have picked this book up and read it by itself, but I didn't mind that. And I think that, like I said, there was just enough adventure, just enough to make me go, and they did just enough to keep me on one train of thought. Like, never did I think I knew the answer, or the answer that I thought was not at all. I think it was the answer they wanted me to think. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one just as much as the first one. I also was done by noon today, so I was not reading up until this call started, which was great. So I had time to meditate and reflect on it. And again, with Manacle being the standard, I'm still going to have to give this one a strong 4, but it's still a great series. Great series so far.
All right. Pretty strong coming from Stephanie O. All right. So let's see. What are your thoughts, non-spoiler thoughts, and your star rating?
I think a good qualifier for a sequel is the same as what Stephanie said. If you could pick it up and read it on its own, if it's a good standalone. And while I agree, I don't think that I would have picked this up without having read the first one. It doesn't quite grab you in without the fundamentals and the world building of the first book. I do like the direction that this I guess chapter of the trilogy goes. And I did appreciate more of the character development. And some of the new characters as well. That said, I think I gave the first book a 3.7. I know we don't do a point system, but I'm going to stick to my guns on that. I'm going to give this one like a 3.2. It's not as good as the first one to me, and I'll go into my reasonings for that later on.
3.2 technically. We'll go ahead. 2 is under the 5, so it's technically a 3. So we'll get 3 stars. All right. So for me, as you know, guys, I'm a lover of this series, right? And revisiting it after all of these many years has been very exciting for me. So I'm trying to look at it not through the lens of me enjoying this as a child and going back, the excitement of going back to it, but as an adult reader reading a book, right? To be completely fair. In my completely fair, non-biased opinion, I feel like this was a strong sequel. I ain't gonna hold you. I feel like it did what needed to be done. I don't feel like it outperformed the first. However, I do feel that it was right there, right there. It wasn't, it's hard to outdo a number one, right? So it's hard to outdo the first one. But I do feel like this book did the job, right? It did what needed to be done. But with that being said, I don't feel like, again, it's as strong as the first. And this seems to be like how everyone on the panel is feeling. But there were some very interesting points. I do feel like what this book did accomplish was adding more depth to the characters that previously were maybe a little bit shallow in their how they were written or defined. So now we get like a little bit more motivation. Now we get like a little bit more layers in their character, and I really enjoyed that about the book. So I'm going to give it 3.7. So I'm gonna right around here, right on, not exactly a 4, not exactly a 3. Okay, all right. So with that being said, oh, did I forget to play our little subscribe? Hold on, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna get into our spoiler time. All right, all right. Now I got some notes. I got some notes that I wanted to discuss with you guys. A couple talking points that I found interesting in the book, right? Number one, in no particular order, right? Number one, finding out about Mrs. Nightwing's marriage, right? The truth behind the marriage, not the lie that was told earlier in the book. That was shocking to me, and how it was like kind of revealed at the end that, oh yeah, she was married before, but he died. And then later at the end, we really find out that, you know, he left her, right? And she found out by seeing him in the street with another woman. I was shocked. I was shocked and appalled on her behalf. I don't know what you guys thought about that part. What did you, was that shocking?
I wasn't surprised. I feel like men of that time just carried on however they felt. It was, I will say it was disappointing because it was a much less romantic reality of rather than what was originally portrayed.
Yeah,
it's sad when people are predictable, always. Yeah. So
I agree.
I forgot that there was a lie told. So when I heard it, it kind of what I felt in that moment was, oh, this explains why she's so mean to the girls, because she is bitter. You know, I forgot that there was that he died or whatever. But I wasn't like shocked or anything. I was like, I know I went like, wow. But it just in my mind was like, oh, okay, so this is why she's so mean to those girls. Mm-hmm. So it didn't like. That wasn't what got my attention in my like mental notes, but it was it's good to know.
Now, before I run down a couple of these, before we can decide what is our most interesting point, I notice now something that I didn't notice when I was younger, and I could be wrong. So y'all let me know if I'm catching what I feel like the book was throwing out. I feel like there's a plot hole here because we find out who Cersei is in this book, right? And I feel as though at one point they said something about how Mrs. Nightwing was related to the person who turned out to be Cersei, again, which is Ms. Moore, right? But also, I believe in book 1, Mrs. Nightwing said something about Sarah dying in the fire. So how do you know this kid is Sarah, but also your sister who's alive and well? Is it, am I making sense? Like, is that a plot hole or did I read that incorrectly?
I do remember that Sarah dying in the fire, really the two girls dying in the fire from the first one. And I remember the letter at, I forget, Victorium. What was the other school called? Wherever it was. The letter saying I went to go work at the girls' school where my sister is the head mistress. But I don't know. I'm not sure. That never really resolved as far as I'm concerned. Like I didn't see where this was part of the issue for me for this book. There were a couple things that didn't tie in together neatly. Like I did not understand like the timing of that letter with Miss McCready coming in, Nell going to the asylum, and just all of that was kind of like fumbled together timing wise for me, so it was a little confusing. But I just kept chipping away at it. But yeah, that did come off as a plot hole. Unless Stephanie, you have something on that?
I didn't pay attention to that at first, but as I'm thinking through it, to me it sounds like Mrs. Knight. They were saying they were her sister, but to her face they were saying they were her friend. They would be like, "Oh, that's my friend." So I think they were trying to use the sister to the public, but not with her. That's the only.
But even then, wouldn't she not recognize her as Sarah, the girl who allegedly died in the fire?
No, because remember she had a glam. They have glamours and stuff, so I don't think she was looking like her. So she wouldn't dare go back to Spence Academy looking like Sarah. Because remember when Bridget recognized Gemma because of her mother's eyes,
Yeah.
they would have known it was. I think she had a glamour on.
But she don't got no magic though. That's the point. Only the magic is within the realms, and she can't access the realms.
No,
so
she's able to access magic through a vessel. Remember, because she used nail. So if she's able to get some sort of, because remember she has beast. The beast killed Gemma's mother, so she's got. Okay. She's leeching off of other creatures, I think, to siphon magic to use herself. And the note, I believe she knew Gemma was coming. That's why she left that note saying she went ahead so she could cover her tracks at the boarding house. So she's able, I think she must have the sight as well. Because remember, Nell says she sees what you see. So the note was her saying, "Oh, Gemma's coming for me now. Let me cover my tracks so no one's going to be looking for me moving forward."
Okay, making it make sense. All right, good job. Because I was like, hold on here, what's going on? A couple other things. Y'all speak out if anything comes of interest to you. But we got Gemma catching bodies in this book. She took out Nell at the end of the book. We got Anne being pathetic and opportunistic at the same damn time, y'all. I cannot stand Anne, and she was showing them that in this book. We got Felicity's secret, her family dynamic that came out in this book. We got Daddy Doyle, Daddy Doyle in the opium den.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Daddy Diddler, Felicity's father, but okay.
No, did he? Yeah, him. Yeah, that's Felicity's secret. Simon Middleton, of course, our love interest, secondary love interest in this book. Kartik, the book opened from Kartik's perspective. So we see he's kind of like a double agent almost. He's sent on a separate mission to kill Gemma, but also, slightly falling for our redheaded mistress. And we also have Pippa returning from the grave, slowly turning into something unrecognizable. Those are a couple things that stuck out to me in the book. But yeah, this book just made me stand firm in my decision that Anne is despicable and Felicity is that girl. Y'all not going to act like Anne is Miss Victim here. I can't stand Anne. It is clear in this book that she's disgusting.
Disgusting.
I mean,
she's always, woe is me. Oh, I could never.
I'll let Aaron go, and then I'll come in.
Well, I was gonna say, did y'all ever watch like Gossip Girl?
Yeah.
Do you remember how Dan just kept talking about these different worlds and like how he doesn't feel like he belongs, he doesn't fit? Anne is Dan, but less confident. You know what I'm saying? Way less confident, because at least Dan, he had the sense of self that allowed him to be in those spaces and feel still somehow above all of their drama. Anne is in that space and she doesn't even have a sense of self, like to know that she is worthy to be in that space, at the very least because of her talent and her character. Her character isn't the best because she's a human being, right? Okay. She's gonna falter at times. I don't feel like it's much better. Sorry, I don't feel like the other ladies are much better in integrity or further along in integrity than Anne is. I'll say this book solidified my thoughts on Gemma, because once again, every 5 minutes, if Anne is in the room or in the vicinity, she's talking down on Anne. Does that click that maybe that behavior and that doubles down and justifies Anne feeling out of place? It's like,
but no,
on your phone, like,
Gemma goes out of her way to include Anne. In fact, Felicity does as well. They go out of their way to include her, and Anne is still so woe is me. Oh, I'm coming along, but I'm gonna be fucking Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's like, girl, if you don't get yourself together, you don't stick up for yourself. But then when it comes to like being a little manipulative, you're okay with that. Because see how she was going after Gemma brother with this whole fake identity with no qualms about it.
That both Gemma and Felicity thrust upon her with their
Gemma was not with it.
manipulations.
She was not with it. She gave a whole fake fiance for the brother so Anne will leave him alone.
I'm sorry, but wasn't the Russian benefactor Gemma's idea?
Look,
No.
come in, Stephanie. Oh, you got some things to say. I know, but
yeah, let's hear.
First of all, I will say that I lost a lot of interest in Anne in this book. I must agree with Cedar Superior. It was ridiculous. And then not only that, she liked to, in my opinion, she sides with whoever's on top at that moment. So if Felicity's up, oh yeah, Gemma, we can't do that. And if Gemma's up, well, no, Felicity, we can. She don't have her own opinions. Not only that, right? Gemma did not want her talking to her brother low key. She was like, even with all this fakeness and all of that, like, no. And then I also didn't like that she was like, well, it was your idea, Felicity. Take some ownership. You wanted to be this fake heiress too. Don't be mad now that you done got found out. Now it's everybody else's fault. I can't stand on it. She don't stand for nothing. And she can sing. She might even be a little intelligent, but I'm tired of her. I'm tired of her having to be pushed along and not being like, when are you going to come into your own? You've been to the realms. You done sang for people. What more do you need? Like, girl, the music's within. Like, come on, step it up.
Facts. She a turncoat. She a sneaky one. As soon as the wind blows, she about to switch teams on you. And that's why I don't like Anne for facts. That's why I can't stand me some Anne. But Gemma, say what you want about Gemma. She will, think some stuff about you. But she gonna give you a chance. She just like she gave Kartik a chance. She just like she gave Pippa always gave time a chance, even though she
listen.
I'll agree.
Oh, go ahead. I'm a mute. Just let me know.
I was gonna say I'll agree that Anne was still pretty pathetic in this book, but I'm still feeling that these two girls are so like more than anything. Anne didn't want to be left at the school for that break. She didn't want to be left there alone, especially after forging those friendships. Like those friendships. She's very much so relying on them, and they are sustaining her. That said, despite that fact and going to stay with Felicity and the family, the lie was a burden to Anne, truly. She went right back to self-harming while she was with her. And Felicity used the lie and Anne's presence as a tool to prod at her mother, which now we know why she was so mad at her mother. Well, go ahead.
No. All I want to say here is Anne wasn't harming herself when she liked Tom. So no, the lie was not too much for her. When she had an interest, if someone was showing her interest, as soon as no one's interested anymore, now she's hurting herself again. I think she's full of crap.
She's codependent. That's exactly Anne.
She is codependent, but she ain't no more codependent than Felicity. Felicity needs minions in order to operate.
That's a lie.
Felicity needs people in order to victimize for her to feel like she's worth it. She couldn't even come clean after the truth was out. She couldn't even be in the truth with her best friend.
Why
she couldn't
would
even
she?
live in it.
No. You are not going to.
If that's the case,
shame her. You are not going to shame her for that.
If she was codependent, no, she would need Gemma. And if she was codependent, she would need Gemma and all of those ladies. She doesn't need nobody. She stands firm on her own beliefs, right? So much so that she said, F that daddy, F that mama. I'm going to do, as soon as I get my money, I'm taking me and that little baby out of here. F everybody. So I feel like out of anyone in the group of girls, Felicity is the least codependent. She's the most independent and the most strong, in my opinion.
If she thought she was taking a baby, if I don't remember no baby, but if she thought the niece,
Penny.
If you think Penny wasn't gonna immediately become some catalyst for Felicity to feel better about herself the way she uses literally everyone else that she's connected with
Yeah.
and that's in her life,
Absolutely
you're
not.
tripping.
Absolutely not.
Because why you think suddenly Felicity's like, oh yes, let's go with this lie. You can come stay at my house and la la la. Like, girl, she immediately used her with the dress, with the mom.
No.
Then she's
if she wanted to feel better about herself, she would have brought Anne along and not gave her no secret identity. She would say, oh, here's poor Anne, you know, oh, stinky.
No,
you
they
know,
wouldn't have let her. They wouldn't have let her come. They wouldn't
But-
have let her stay without the lie.
No, because Felicity goes above and beyond.
Right, and she defies authority at every turn. She'd have brought her.
The family wouldn't have let her stay without the lie. I feel like that they said it themselves that without that lie, she wouldn't be welcome in their house, any of their households, or any of their goings out, or none of that. She wouldn't have. She would have been right back in that school.
If she needed someone else to feel better about herself, like someone else more lowly, she wouldn't have been with Pippa, because Pippa was supposed to be the most beautiful girl out of all the girls in the world or whatever. So she wouldn't even been friends with Pippa if she needed other people to step down on in order to feel better about herself.
Yeah, and at the first chance in the first book, when Pippa had to be like, actually, bitch, oops, sorry. when Pippa was awesome, actually, your mom's a slut. The minute that Pippa didn't act right, she turned on her. No,
because she's an independent woman who don't take no shit. Yeah, Felicity.
No,
I see Felicity.
Felicity is weak sauce, and she needs minions in order to carry out her little plans, all her little things. Especially from the first book again, when she decided, no, we need to work together so that we can. Girl, you ain't need everybody else to be butt booty naked to kill the deer. You could have did that on your own, but you needed everybody to turn. She did the same thing she did the first book. The other people, she needed anyone else who was in their little tribe to turn against Gemma.
You don't remember that woman was speaking to her in the first book. That spirit was feeding
remember.
Felicity crazy stuff. That wasn't her.
Yeah.
She was not acting of her own will.
But what was her telling them, hey, this is what the lady said, this is what we can do in order to
That's
get
what
the
spirits
powers
do.
ourselves.
They get in your
we
mind.
Don't need you. And what about this book? And what about in this book?
They did the same thing in this book. The spirits tried to take a hold of them. But let me back up and say, I gained a lot of respect for Felicity when she told that little girl, lock your door. Felicity is not out here doing anything to get over on people. Felicity is doing the best she can to protect herself. And let me also say, no, she wouldn't have come clean with her friends. They don't know her like that. She went through that for years. Nobody's going to bond with you in a minute over some trauma.
It was out.
That it doesn't matter. That's her story that she's had to live with. And she did what she could for that little girl. But I met y'all 2.5 minutes ago. I'm about to be kumbayaing about something I had to deal with for years. Hell
and
no.
not only that, she learned from her mother that even if you do come clean, nobody gonna help you anyway. So keep it to yourself and protect yourself.
Exactly. And she learned from her mother, don't trust nobody. So at the end of the day, we might be friends, but I gotta stand doing mine and hold my own down. But she did what she had to do for that little girl though, because she protects the innocent. You are not going to villainize Felicity. Felicity.
I will.
Because
I
didn't like Felicity before, but now Felicity is the real deal. Felicity. Now I like Gemma, and what I liked about Gemma was her wit, but Felicity gained a lot of respect from me in this book.
I don't feel like nobody was that redeemable. Gemma redeemed herself a little bit for me at the end with her little, actually, this is what I'm going to do. When Miss McCready was like, okay, well, now we can do that. And she was like, no, I think we're going to do this, actually. That made me say, okay, I see you. And when Gemma turned around and was like, no, actually, why don't you keep your brooch? Let the fire die down. That's fine. You go do what you need to do. That made me say, oh, okay. I see. You're right. I see there's some growth happening here. But nah, for all of me therapy, because for after the absinthe party, date great.
Yes.
For me, that was like, you're still into him after that? And after hearing after Gemma hearing, after the date grape situation with Simon in the absence, and then hearing from Felicity that, and y'all tell me if y'all think this is true or not, hearing from Felicity that at first Simon was feeling and sniffing around Felicity, and Felicity wasn't here for him. She was like, maybe, no,
I believe that.
You believe it? I did too. And
I
that
definitely believe that.
oh, he probably did this same thing with Felicity. That made me think, oh, so he's probably serially doing this. Because how is he even getting any absinthe? And then he has it with him, ready to go, prepared for the party. Brings it out, gets everybody to come with them. Like, yeah, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
I think that she definitely knew that he was, a tad, whatever, a rake, like she said. But she tried to kind of tell Gemma, like, hey, I don't like that guy. I don't think she knew to what extent like he would go. But she was like, something about how like, but see, this is what a good friend that Felicity is. She didn't lead with, oh, you shouldn't talk to him because he tried to talk to me, girl. She's like, oh, well, I don't like him that much, but you'd see what you like about him, right? So I think Felicity is that girl. I don't care what y'all
Felicity was hating on that from the top. Felicity was hating on that from the top. She might not have explicitly said, oh, I don't think he's the right one for you. Like, she's not a person that's gonna say it like that. She's gonna say, oh yeah, he tried to talk to me. Like, girl, that ain't got nothing to do with this.
If she was a hater, she would have led with that.
But she started off hating with her tone, talking about, you just want to be with Simon. Like, girl, before she even said that he used to talk or whatever, or that he used to try to talk to her, she came off the bat like, oh, you just want to hurry up so you can get back to Simon. Yeah, I do. Why is that? Are you mad?
Felicity, no, I think you're trying to villainize her when Felicity does what she has to do to protect herself. If she feels threatened, then she will lash out. And think about it. Every time Felicity gets smart, it's because someone has made her feel threatened. She's not a malicious person, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't agree with that. And yes, she could have easily said he tried to talk to me. And quite as it's kept, she could have probably took Simon from her if she wanted to, because Simon is that shallow. He only cares about status, this, that, and the third. She don't want him. So she was just trying to help her friend out because she like, Gemma, you don't want to do that. But, these girls don't listen. The girls never listen. So
y'all giving her a lot of credit.
Get it any further.
Let's go. Yeah, let's move on.
Let's acknowledge your books and birds. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Also, before we end the show, because we're running a little long, usually this has been a hot debate, right? I want to know, has your rankings changed at all from who your favorite girl is versus least favorite? For me, it's the same. Felicity, then Gemma, then Anne. Stephanie, you're shaking your head yes. So how has it changed for you?
So Gemma still, I think Anne was my favorite before. Gemma is my favorite because she showed not only courage but wit. Especially as she was starting to solve the riddle, and discernment as she started to make decisions. I actually thought her character really evolved. Felicity is now my second favorite because I can see how strong she is and how, despite her life, she still keeps swinging. Anne has dropped to the bottom because if she doesn't just start to love herself and get some confidence, she might as well go ahead and get an arrow, in the next book, because this is ridiculous.
I forgot Pippa. So for me, Felicity, Gemma, Pippa, and Anne. Where does Pippa stand for you before we go on to eat? Did you have a place for Pippa? Gemma, Felicity. Wait, you're muted. Okay, we'll come back to you. E?
I think I had two lineups last time. That at the top first was Anne. At the beginning of the first book was Anne, I guess Gemma, Pippa, then Felicity. Then I ended with Pippa and Gemma and Felicity. Now I'm gonna say, just off the strength of the end of this book, I'm gonna say Gemma and Pippa and Gemma and Pippa and Felicity. Felicity was very childish the whole book, pretty much up until the thing with Penny and warning Penny, and almost really up until the end of the book, she was very childish. She was making all these crazy promises to Pippa. We had toward the end, like at the climax, there was like a wavering, like we didn't know if she was gonna rock with Hester or whoever, because she was making promises to Pippa. And it was like, she just was too committed to this idea that they could keep Pippa in the realms and Pippa wouldn't have to pass. And she couldn't even make the shot. Didn't she have a chance to make the shot and couldn't do it? And it had to be Gemma. Like, yep. Come on. Felicity just got some healing to do. And until she does that, I just don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, Stephanie, we're ranking again, including Pippa. Where does Pippa sit for you?
Pippa's, I will still put Anne above Pippa because Pippa was manipulative the whole book. She had a glamour on the whole book. Pippa is gone. Pippa shouldn't even be on the list. Pippa is dead.
It's the spirit.
And she adds just enough plot to the book that I'm like, oh gosh, she about to come back with an army or something next week. I don't know, but Pippa needs to pass on. And Felicity did what she did with Pippa because she is a true friend. I don't see how you keep coming at Felicity like this time and time again. She keeps showing up. And let's not take away the fact that she's the only one who saved them when they was out at sea with them arrows. Them girls are useless. If Gemma don't have power, she's useless. Anne is pure strength. Anne, Felicity is pure strength. She is. I still like Gemma more because Gemma is giving me like Hermione energy a little bit, but Felicity is a close second for me. And
all right, guys. All right, time. Ding, 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 ding. But yeah, overall, very interesting, riveting conversation. We will be, again, we do these once a month, so we have determined that we will be going on to the third and final book of the series. However, there may be a little intermission in between because this final book is a doozy, guys. It's a really long book. So again, there may be a little, surprise novella in between. But we will be continuing the series. Thank you guys for being here. If you like the video, please like the video and join us next month for our next book review, which is again going to be the third in the series. And we'll announce the novella sometime within the coming weeks. All right. See you later. Goodbye.